All right, guys, so we're going to start with memory today. First thing we're going to do is start with encoding. Now, encoding is when you use information over and over again, and that puts like a layer of information on. The more you go through it, the more you deal with it, the better you'll be. When you think of encoding, when you think about memory, think of a library. And that's an important way, an easier way to think about it in context. Encoding is the system of numbers that are put on the bottom or on the spine of the book. What is that called, the little system?
Dewey Decimal System.
Yes, the Dewey Decimal System. Which the Dewey Decimal System, the Dewey Decimal System has actually evolved, and it's actually way more complicated than it was when in 4th grade in your library. The Media Center holds pretty true to it, but if you go to like a real library, it's way more complicated than that now, but it's still there. So, for instance, if Mr. Penn buys a new book, so he walks into the media center with a brand new book that is just ordered, he goes to the counter, and he puts a number on it. Okay, he comes up, types in, looks at the name, looks at the author and the genre, and comes up with it, whatever the number would be for the Dewey Decimal Center, for the Dewey Decimal System. He then puts it on the book and then covers it with plastic so it stays. That is encoding. The book is the memory. The encoding is putting the little button, the numbers on it. Then the next stage is storage. In storage, he walks to the shelf and puts it on the shelf. And the book will sit there in that specific area with its encoding until someone needs it. Then you think of the number, which is tied to the genre and the author's name, and then it brings you to there, and you grab the book off the shelf because of the encoding, and grab it from the storage, and that's called retrieval. And that is how this whole system works. All right. If you take out your focus, I'm going to answer number 1. If you literally copy down what I write, you will have number 1. James, can you just put your backpack on the other side for me? Because I'm going to be over here. I'm usually, obviously, as you know, not. But today I will be. Okay, so what you need to know for memory is it comes in a couple of different ways. This is literally what you need to write on question 1. Can you just scoot your desk over? Because I don't feel like I'm in your business. Scoot it over. Thank you. Okay, so when we talk about memory, the first thing you need to know is that sensory input. Sensory input okay, so sensory input is images, sounds, emotions, sensations, whatever. Okay, it's all of your external sensations and all that stuff. Okay, so what happens is, what do you look for, Annie? It's in there, right in front of week 11. There's 3. Oh my God, someone help her, I can't do. You find it? It says memory. It's in front of 11. Okay. With sensory input, it's dealing with all your images, your sound, and emotion. So what is happening right here is that every single one of you is smelling, hearing, feeling everything. Like your brain right now is processing the feeling of the chair on your body, is feeling the cloth on your skin, is processing the smell of all the people in the room, is processing the smell of the room. You're seeing everything. Okay, all that information, your brain really does see everything. Your sensory memory is the only part of your brain that sees everything, processes everything. Everything gets filtered in. Where actually, autism, when people have autism, it's because their sensory memories go too long. Ours only lasts for 4 to 5 seconds. Okay? If you have non-autistic, you have 45 seconds of memory of it. For autistic people, it can go up to hours, which means, have you ever had something land on your skin and you kind of just brush it off because it bothered you, and then you just move on without a second? Okay? That is just a moment's notice. a kid with autism can feel that for hours and hours on end, and it just can irritate them. Too much light, different types of things affect. It's because their sensory memory is too long. Yes.
Is it all types of autism?
No, it just depends. Not on autism. We're gonna get to autism as we come, but typically sensory memory is what is really kind of shifted there. So all the information goes into your sensory memory. Your sensory memory is gonna process all information coming into your brain. So all of your sensation or your sensory input is going to go into your sensory memory. Once it gets here, your brain has to decide to give it attention or not. If it gives it attention, it then goes to the next component. Okay, so what moves things from your sensory memory to your short-term memory? Or working memory is attention. So say for instance, I washed my hair last night with coconut shampoo, okay? So technically, the sensory input is the trace of the smell of coconuts. All of a sudden, your sensory memory, your brain is now processing, do I want it? Okay, Miss Bennett smells like coconuts. Do I care? Nope. Okay, so what happens is if information is not picked up, like the fact that I have coconut shampoo in my hair, it gets rejected and it's gone forever. Your brain will never send that information again until the next time it's exposed to it. So the next day, tomorrow, if you come in and I have coconut shampoo in my hair, then it would pick it up then. Does that make sense? Once it's rejected, it's gone forever. Okay? How much information do you think, just put it there, it gets rejected? 95% of our stimuli get rejected. Yeah, it's huge. Think about it, but do you really need to know how the chair feels against your back right now? Like, is that something you're like, oh man, I need to know that? It's depressing. No, yeah, come on, no. Okay? But your brain has to process that information somehow. If it gets attention, okay, this is by choice or force, that means you are consciously aware. When you get to this space, only here, you are consciously aware. When you are here, you are not. This is completely subconscious. This is what will eventually turn into long-term memory. Is going to be subconscious as well. Now, guys, this is the foundation of memory. So if you don't get this, then we're gonna have a really rough week. I'm not done explaining it. I'm gonna go through a lot more, but this is everything. Everything else is based off this. Okay, so I have coconut in my hair. Your brain has decided not to smell it. Done. Okay? My man James here smells like apples. That's a good one. Okay? So my man James here did a body wash of apples. Okay? So what has happened is that now we're talking about James's body wash. We're like, oh my god, this was really great apple body wash. So all of a sudden it goes into our short-term or working memory. Now, in your short-term and working memory, you can only hold plus or minus 7 items. What that means is, who here has a really bad memory? Just awful. Okay? Which means the average person can hold 7. If you have a really bad memory, you're floating between 3 or 5 items. True or not true? Okay, like if I send you to the grocery store, you're not allowed to write this down. Like, can you pick up this, 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 and this? You're only going to remember a couple of those items, correct? Okay? If you ever, who here has a really good memory, like things just stick in there and it's good, then you are going to be on the high side, up to 9. When you have talk about people with Guinness World Records and they're doing all these crazy things, they're not normal people, which makes them special, which makes them have records, which is not in your plus or minus 7. Which, that's not normal. You know, or someone, there's a guy in England who has memorized, someone compiled a random list of words. It's like 1 million words, and he can recite it.
Middle school English, like decided high, like
Yeah.
like hundreds of numbers.
Yeah,
How
that's
you did that?
Useful.
What about photographic memory?
Okay, photographic is a little bit different. We're going to come into that. But we're talking about the average normal citizen when we talk about things. We're always going to have exceptions. Is that fair? So when we talk about this, we're talking about average. There will be a couple times where we're going to talk about exemplary or people who do it really well, or people who are not very good at memory, and we'll talk about it in those specific levels. But when we talk about the average person, this is what you need to know. Okay? So sensory input goes from outside, so I have coconut on, you don't smell it, gets thrown away, it's gone, you'll never smell it again until tomorrow if I wear it again. However, you've decided that you have paid attention to the fact that James over here smells like apples. That has now been given attention, and that has been moved over to your short-term memory. Now, in our short-term memory, because James smells like apples, do you like red apples or green apples? Red apples?
Yeah, they're not like when
Are you an apple fan? Really? What's your favorite type of apple? A tasty one? No, you're not a real apple fan. I like Macintosh. Gala happens to be one of my favorites. That's a green one. And then the honey, what's it? Honey crisp. Those are bomb. Okay, so because I've kept talking about apples and how James likes apples, but he doesn't know any apples, so that makes no sense. I've kept saying the damn word apples. Have you noticed? I throw it in as much as I can, ask him some really random questions when he doesn't even wear apple body wash, but I'm talking about it like he does. Okay, what that is, that's called rehearsal. Okay? When you use information over and over and over again, it's called rehearsal. Every time you rehearse something, you encode it. So, when you think rehearsal, think encoding. Rehearsal means you're doing it over and over again, just like when you rehearse for a play. Like Little Shop of Horrors is opening tonight. Rehearsal means they're showing up every single day, running lines, doing everything they need, and are being as prepared as they possibly can for the play tonight. Rehearsal is doing it again and again. Rehearsal means encoding. Have you guys ever used a rubber stamp before?
A what?
A rubber stamp.
Oh,
I don't even know what that is.
Yes?
No.
How do you
Wait,
people
wait.
do in your free time? Like, where's your childhood? Like, what did you do?
What's a rubber
Oh, rubber stamp.
Yeah, like a rubber stamp.
Oh,
Wait,
okay.
which-
For some reason, I was thinking of like those things that you put on posts, like cards that you like mail.
You've never dealt with a postage stamp?
Yeah, and then I don't know why I was thinking that. I was like,
You've
there's
never
rubber
touched a
ones in those? No, like I have, but I was like, I didn't know there was rubber ones. There's not. I understand that now.
There's like a entire aisle at Michael's of
Yeah.
that. It's so big.
Yeah, but I don't know, like, I don't understand why. Why would I want the same thing? Let's see. Anyway, that's off the topic. I have no talent. That's why I don't understand why people can do those things. We're coming back. Okay. If you've ever used a stamp, if you hit it in the ink and you put it on the paper once, is it really dark or is it okay?
It's dark.
It's okay. It's not super, super dark. If I keep hitting it in the ink and putting it exactly on the same thing, is it going to get darker or lighter?
Darker.
Darker. That's what encoding is. When you think about encoding, think of it like a stamp. The more you stamp the same thing, the darker it's going to get. Okay? So the more you rehearse something, the better the encoding is going to be. You all have tried to learn something, but you didn't really practice it, so you didn't really do well. Vocab quizzes. You didn't encode it well enough, which means you couldn't retrieve it, which means you didn't do well in the vocab quiz. Okay? Encoding is, every time you think of the information, it adds a deeper stamp. The deeper the stamp is, the easier it is to retrieve. Every single one of us has done a project at some grade in school over the last 11, 12 years that made you work too damn hard on one stupid topic. So you don't know anything else, but you know that one damn topic like a boss, which has done you zero service. And this is really speaking out of resentment, because in 4th grade, Miss Joseph made me We had to do a state project. Fine. Guess what state I got? North Dakota.
Yeah, I got Wyoming. So.
Ah. Alright. Let me tell you about North Dakota. It has the Badlands. All of the rebel. Hey, Chris. Yeah, that's not gonna work. That'll get sick. Sit all the way up, buddy. Alright, so North Dakota has the Badlands, has has the largest museum for. See, this is literally just dying. I'm so sad. I just can't even deal with this. Has all of the. Can you just toss them in my bottom laptop? Thank you. Has the Badlands, has the largest reservations in the United States. It has. You had to bring a food from that state. I brought cornbread because it's the second largest producer of corn. But I actually used milk from Dakota. I know cornmeal from Dakota, and we special ordered it just to make sure I got an A on my project, which I did. Okay, and all of the extra stuff from Mount Rushmore was actually brought to North Dakota, because no one cares about anything about North Dakota. And I will go to North Dakota at some point in my life and see some of these cool things, because they have some ancient American mounds and stuff like that. They have a couple of reservations. They have a couple of really cool stuff. No one needs to know this much about North Dakota. And I happen to have it because of the rehearsal and the encoding was so deep. Here I am way beyond 4th grade, and I can still tell you about North Dakota. That is because I truly encoded it because I spent so much time on that damn project. The more you encode it, the longer you'll remember it. The more you encode it will then send you into storage. And that's your next step. So the more you encode is you're going to send it to storage, and this is going to be your long-term memory. Now, when you get to long-term memory, it's important to know that it's kind of like your library of memories. Okay? So because you encoded all of your memories, some of them you encoded really well. Like, for instance, I have a project on North Dakota that's currently sitting in my head. I also wrote a really good paper on John Adams, which I could regale you in some of that, but I won't, okay? Because I had those projects, I have them really deep ingrained into my long-term memory, which means I can pull it out faster. If I don't do it, it's going to be very hard to pull out information. Like, for instance, if you ask me what my husband's telephone number is,
You really don't.
I know confidently the area code and the next 3 numbers. I get a little shaky on the last. Because how often do I type it in?
That's something you should know.
I know. I'm not proud, but I'm just being honest. I didn't encode it enough. I really should sit there and just write it over again and again. Then I encode it. Or maybe I'll do a project on it. You never know. Okay? So, short-term memory. The more you rehearse, it goes into your long-term memory. Now, your long-term memory, if it's encoded, it will be there forever. And when I say forever, I don't mean after you're dead. We can take out your skull and flash a light, and then we can watch your memories. It's until you die, but it's endless. We have no idea when they kind of fade out or stuff like that. The better you encode it, the longer they're going to last. The less you encode, the less you're going to have. Now, when we talk about information, we pull it out of our long-term memory, and it's called retrieval. Now, on your whiteboard, please tell me, what is your favorite piece of clothing from your entire life? I had a pair of yellow tights with black polka dots on them. They were sewn in, and they were so cute. My first day of school ever in 1st grade, I showed up in my little leggings with my little polka dots and a black shirt, and I had a little yellow bow, and I got made fun of, and I never wore them again outside my house. Yeah. I used to wear them all the time. I had holes. I had them until I graduated high school. My mom made me throw them away when I left. So, what is your favorite piece of clothing you've ever owned? Playoff 80s Jordan. All right, Jordan. American what? That's so cute. I had a really cute one with polka dots. There's a thing here. Green shirt. All right, why?
I don't know, but I used to wear it so much that my mom took it away.
Aww. Blue's blue shirt. My scuba suit.
Scuba suit.
When did you give this up? 2 weeks ago or what? When was this?
It's still in my garage.
Won't get rid of it.
Polka dot long sleeve shirt, red reindeer jumper.
I have like the little dresses. I wear it now.
Prom dress from last year. Oh, that's so sweet. That's so nice. A Russian hat, all right. Crew shirt, sweatshirt. It's just super comfy.
Yeah, but I can't wear it to school because I'm not in crew anymore. And I'll get dragged.
Sure. Is it worth signing up for just so you can wear it shamelessly?
Yeah.
All right. Darth Vader Christmas shirt. Okay, so what has happened? If I ask you, we've kind of talked, I asked some of you, when would you wear it and stuff like that. So what has happened is, were you thinking I was going to ask you what your favorite piece of clothing was? No, that's a really random question to ask, and probably no one's ever going to ask you that question again. Okay? So what has happened is, you love this shirt, you've worn this shirt, you abused that crew sweatshirt, watching so much TV and lounging it and living life in it. Okay? And it's implanted in your long-term memory because you love it so much. Okay? Then it got retrieved. Because you encoded that information, you can easily think of it. You can think of the pictures you've seen of it, you can think of all the experiences you had in those clothes, and it helps you retrieve it. Once it's retrieved, it comes back into this area. Remember, this is called short-term or working memory. It is short-term memory when you're trying to learn something. It's called working memory when you recall something. Because this is the only place where we are consciously aware. So anytime we're thinking about a memory, okay, think about your first kiss, for instance, okay, that has pulled information from your long-term memory, or I hope long-term memory, maybe just short-term. That is so judgmental, I take that back. Okay. So, what you've taken from your long-term memory, you've now put in your working memory. And you're thinking about whoever it was. Was it good? Did you like them? You know, her. Was it good? Did you do you still talk to that person? No, no one does. It's okay if you don't. It's fine. Do you avoid that person like the plague? I don't know. I don't even know. Oh, tough life. Oh my God, you're awful. Okay, so. Where? Really? We're going international over here. Step up your game. Alright. Alright, so information from your senses come in, then in your sensory memory it decides to pay attention to it or not. If it decides not to pay attention to it, it's just dead and it's never going to come back. If it decides to give it attention, then you're consciously aware of it. So, for instance, you have an itch on your nose. You have an itch. Yeah, you do. Yeah, my girl. She's like, oh, yeah, I do. Okay? Yeah, I see you. You touched it. Okay, so all of a sudden, with the touching of me talking about how you have an itch on your nose and you're thinking about it, and you're like, no, I don't. And you're like, yeah, I do. Okay? All of a sudden now it's in your short-term memory, it's your working memory, you're thinking about it, you're consciously aware. If I kept talking about what does my man James smell like?
Apples.
We have just put his scent into your short-term memory, which is going to be here. Your short-term memory is going to last 1 to 3 hours. Okay? So with very little information. So if I ask Mia, what's your favorite thing to eat, Mia?
Sushi.
Where do you go for your sushi? What? Where?
It's called the toy.
Where is it at?
It's like on Dollar Tree.
By what? Sundial maybe, but where?
It's like by Party City or something.
It's by Party City. It's all the way down on Tommy Green Cross.
Yeah. What is it called?
The toy.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's good. It's like white people in there.
Soho's where it's at.
Oh yeah.
If you want good sushi,
but when you go in, it's good and it's nice.
I love it.
Yeah, it's
Because I think I know what you're talking about. It does not look like a place I'd want to eat sushi.
When you go
Is
inside.
it? You think it's the best in town? Have you gone to like Soho and all that stuff?
I like.
McCray loves, and this is obviously off topic. McCray likes Chichios.
That's like right by my house.
Is it better sushi or worse than Chichios? Anyone here been to Chichios in this place?
Yeah.
Brittany?
They don't have the base selection because it's like Chichios in the restaurant next door.
Water.
Yeah. No, it's good. Yeah, no, it's so good.
But like they don't have like the base.
Yeah, I know. It's apparently, I don't know. Anyway, moving forward. Damn it, I messed up my own example. So, if I didn't ask all these 1,000 other questions about sushi, it may not have been retained. And in 20 minutes, if I asked you, because you heard it once, which I messed up, you probably wouldn't remember because you only heard it once and you didn't do the encoding. However, we've talked about apples a lot today, haven't we? Okay, so every time we say the word apple, it gets rehearsed that James smells like apples, James smells like apples, which means maybe on Monday you'll remember that. And if you remember it on Monday, that means it's in your long-term memory. Now, some of these memories will last a really long time. Some of them won't, depending on how much encoding you go. Obviously, the more dramatic memories, like your first kiss, that's a pretty good one, okay? If you've ever gotten your heart broken by someone, what a jerk, whoever it was, I got your back. Or her, him, her, okay? Whoever it is, that is going to cause a long-term impact, and it's going to be really well encoded because of the emotional component of it. Okay, you're going to remember days you had a really great day, and you're going to remember days you had a really bad day just because of the emotion is going to add to a deeper encoding. Does that make sense? All right, to the boards, here we go. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the shortest space in your memory? What has the shortest space in your memory? Good. What is it, Smith? Sensory memory. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is, how many items can you hold in your short-term memory? How many items can you hold in your short-term? This is a test question, by the way, so you already got 1 out of 24 right. What is it, Valeria? Plus or minus 7. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the nickname of short-term memory? Good. Chris, what is it? STM, also what?
Working memory.
Working memory. You need to know that, darling, because that's also a test question. Huh?
I couldn't see what, like I didn't understand.
Was that probably but during the time you were dozing? Suspect. All right, so working memory. On your whiteboard, please tell me. See ya. You didn't. You weren't supposed to. It says AP World needs crayons. AP Psych needs whiteboards.
Or you don't read.
Except for working memory. You can put them back in my box, though. You definitely don't need to abandon them there.
Oh, out of here.
Do you want to see my little man?
Wait, he's not so little anymore.
And he grows. They're called puppies.
No, that's it.
He's a black lab.
Traumatic. It was.
Bye, darling. Have a great weekend. Guys, get your stuff done. It's a long week.
Not even kidding me.
What's up?
I come after school to make up.
Yes.
I have to turn in my assignment.
Whole thing passed me by. There's no time to waste.